And we are now live streaming.
And Heather, before I get started, we do have a special guest for our delegation this evening. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and do I see that person on the screen?
You do. We have Greg Barrow and Lorraine Barrow. And
Greg
he's
and Lorraine?
Yep, I just have to readmit. He seems to be having some connection issues.
Okay.
Just readmitting now.
Ah, they're there.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So welcome, Council. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, they've disappeared again. I'll continue to watch for them.
Oh dear.
It happens, eh? Okay. So we're going to get started. Welcome, everyone. Another wintry day here in the municipality of North Grenville. Before we get things going, of course, we'd like to extend a very special welcome to our newly minted councillor, Debbie Wilson. Welcome, Councillor Wilson. Great to have you on board. And for anyone who's just catching up on the news, Ms. Wilson was appointed just yesterday, or sworn in as of yesterday, to replace Jim McManaman, who served as councillor, of course, and as deputy mayor. So Ms. Wilson was a successful candidate out of 9 that stepped forward to seek to replace or fill that vacancy that was left by Councillor McManaman. And we look forward to sharing more information about her roles and responsibilities in the coming week. So thank you, Councillor Wilson, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for the welcome.
Of course. As council colleagues know, very recently we adopted a land acknowledgement. This is part of an ongoing process when it comes to truth and reconciliation in our community and, of course, in our country. So I'll read that now, and that, of course, part of that effort is a commitment to read our land acknowledgement at the beginning of most, if not all, council meetings and many meetings in the community as well. So we're very appreciative of the work that got us here. And I'll read that acknowledgement now. The municipality of North Grenville acknowledges that our municipality operates on the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Anishinaabe. We honor the historic relationship of the Haudenosaunee peoples as well as Huron-Wendat peoples to this land. Of course, we recognize all First Nations, Métis and Inuit who call North Grenville their home. We respect and support as council and as a municipality the need for cultivating a strong relationship with all Indigenous peoples. And we look forward to continuing this conversation and fostering the path towards reconciliation. So with that, we're looking for an approval of the agenda, colleagues. Of course, tomorrow night we have a robust budget meeting, but tonight is non-budgetary matters. So I'll look for a mover and a seconder, just so you can raise your hands. Councillor O'Sullivan and Strachan, thank you. You have moved and seconded. Any comments, questions, or concerns on the agenda? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor, please. Good, thank you. The agenda carries. Next, of course, is disclosures of interest. This pertains to any perceived or real financial benefit or loss arising from items on tonight's agenda. Any disclosures, colleagues? Scanning the screen, seeing none. We'll move on. So now it gives me a great pleasure to welcome a very special delegation in terms of the important subject matter of the Year of the Garden 2020. And I understand that we have Greg and Lorraine Barrow with us this evening, and they're going to do a presentation. I also see Arlene Rudder on the list, but I expect she's not joining us this evening, or is she with us, Ms. Babcock-Cormier?
No, I don't believe that she's with us, Your Worship.
Okay. Okay, so we'll welcome the Barrows. Thank you very much. We hope you can hear us, and we look forward to hearing from you, Greg. And Lorraine.
You can hear me?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome.
Okay, good evening. As the mayor has stated, my name is Greg Barrow, and my wife Lorraine is here with me. We are both residents here in Kempville, and we are both the co-chairs for the public planting with the Kempville Horticultural Society. I will provide you with a brief overview of what the Year of the Garden represents. The Garden Council of Canada and Communities in Bloom have proclaimed the Year of the Garden will be 2022, and that it will launch on March the 20th, 2022, which is the first day of spring, appropriate for gardening, in honor of the centennial of the ornamental horticultural sector. The main intent of the Horticultural Society, in accordance with the Communities in Bloom and the Canadian Garden Council, is to have the municipality proclaim 2022 as the Year of the Garden in our area, with a commitment to be a garden-friendly community. Of note, in 2022 was recognized as the Year of the Garden via a declaration in the House of Commons on June the 21st, 2021, which shows the significance of the importance of gardening in Canada. We would like to recognize the National Garden Day in our municipality on the Saturday before Father's Day, which is June the 18th, 2022. It is the intention of our society to encourage all of our members to plant red plants in their gardens to celebrate Canada's rich garden heritage, celebrate today's vibrant garden culture, and create legacies for a sustainable future. We are encouraging our membership to come up with ideas, and our public planting team will be working their magic in Rotary Park, which we've done over a number of years now. In addition, we would be asking council to help provide some either red plants, flowers, bushes, whatever, or funding to also put plants into the post office garden, Equinel garden, traffic roundabouts, and town sign areas, just to be, have a uniform look throughout the town. It's good for tourism. It'll be a beautification. Of interest, there are a number of communities that have already put this proclamation forward throughout Canada. So I'm hoping that Kemptville will be right in tune with them for this year. We are now asking council to consider providing their support for this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank you, Greg, as well as your partner, Lorraine. I know you've worked extremely hard on various beautification efforts at the park and beyond. I understand also at the entrance of Equinel, if I'm not mistaken. So
that's correct.
Yes. So I know you've really stepped up and have a passionate commitment to gardens, public gardens, private gardens as well. So we really appreciate all of the work you've done since coming to North Grenville a number of years ago. Is that right?
That's correct. We came about 3 years ago and sort of got involved, and we love it.
Good. Did you have a garden history before that?
I did. We used to, we lived in Peterborough, where we rebuilt the Fleming Park Garden in downtown Peterborough. Wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your presentation. Colleagues, any questions for Mr. Barrow? I have Councillor Sullivan first. And because Councillor Wilson is new to this, Councillor Wilson, of course, you can raise your hand manually, or you can use the hand function, obviously, on the screen. So whatever works. We'll go to Councillor Sullivan first.
Okay, thank you very much, Greg. I really appreciate everything that you guys have done for the public gardens and the downtown in Kemptville on the bridge and in Rotary Park. It's wonderful. I just hope that I can put a little plug in here for the International Plowing Match Beautification Project, which will be also aligning for this year with Kemptville Gardeners. And actually the colors or the flowers that have been selected for the International Plowing Match Beautification are marigolds and sunflowers. So hopefully they can be interspersed with the red flowers as well, and that we can partner up to have a really beautiful, stunningly beautiful North Grenville and area for the International Plowing Match when we welcome so many guests. So there will be entry forms for the beautification project. They should be available by the end of March. And so stay tuned, everyone, for that. When you're starting your plants, look for red and yellow. So we can beautify North Grenville and participate in the Year of the Garden, because it's a great initiative.
Great ideas. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions, colleagues? Mr. Brower, the red flowers, is that the theme across the country, or did you guys decide on red very specific to our community?
No, that's the theme across Canada.
Okay, and you don't have any objection to the addition of some yellow? It
Oh,
sounds.
not at all. Well, I guarantee you Rotary Park will have lots of color, but a lot of red too.
Indeed. All right. So, of course, as Councillor Sullivan said, the International Plowing Match is a major event, Kemptville's largest event in certainly the history of this community. So we look forward to riding the wave of the Year of the Garden. Council colleagues, I do have a motion or a proclamation rather. So if you'd like, I can read that very quickly and then look for a mover and a seconder. And that is, whereas the Year of the Garden 2020 celebrates the centennial of Canada's horticultural sector, whereas gardens and gardening contribute to the quality of life of our municipality and create safe and healthy places, whereas the Year of the Garden 2020 will highlight and celebrate the important contributions of gardeners, local gardening organizations, horticultural professionals, and local horticultural businesses, which contribute to the amazing garden culture within our municipality. Whereas gardens and gardening have helped us face the challenges of the COVID pandemic, and that is true indeed. And whereas Communities in Bloom, in collaboration with the Canadian Garden Council, invites all municipalities to celebrate the Year of the Garden, be it resolved that the municipality of North Granville hereby proclaims 2022 as the Year of the Garden. I'm not going to read all of that text, but I'll also note that the resolution states that the Saturday before Father's Day, June 18th, be recognized as Garden Day in the municipality of North Granville as a legacy of Canada's Year of the Garden, that the municipality of North Granville is committed to be a garden-friendly city, supporting the development of a garden culture, and is proud to have the Kemptville Horticultural Society and District 1 Ontario Horticultural Association, and that all municipalities across Canada be invited to proclaim 2022 Year of the Garden. So that is the proclamation. Colleagues, I'll look for a mover and a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Sullivan, Councillor Strachan, thank you. And any further comments? Councillor Wilson and Councillor Strachan, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a question for Greg. Are the communities, are they depicting this as a sort of a contest or just a celebration that we should decorate to the fullest that we can?
It's just a celebration.
Okay. It's but some of the communities will enter into the Communities in Bloom, and will that be part of what we're
Yes.
doing?
Yeah.
Okay. So there is an opportunity for our community to enter into the Communities in Bloom competition.
Yes.
And possibly challenge Merrittville.
We want to put Merrittville to the test.
If you want to, yes.
Sorry, I got to make it public. I logged a lot of participation hours last year doing my gardens. So
Okay.
thanks.
Yeah.
Well, Mayor Struthers, who holds a very special place in his heart for the Communities in Bloom success that they've had, I'm sure would welcome a little friendly competition. Councillor Strachan?
I was just going to say thank you very much, Greg, for coming here and bringing this in front of us. I think it'll be a great opportunity to encourage people who don't have very green thumbs. My thumbs are not very green, but I will try and plant some flowers. Most of our stuff is vegetables, so plant something a little bit more colorful. And I think it would be remiss if we didn't already talk about the garden-friendly culture that's sort of been cultivated with Kemptville gardeners and with the great work that Claude Smith does at our greenhouse as well on campus. I think that that's getting a lot of people interested in it, and really it goes back to getting through COVID with gardening and so on. I think that green space in the greenhouse when it's cold and white outside right now, a lot of people are enjoying being able to access that space again because of the greenery. So I take your point that gardening has certainly helped a lot of people from a mental health perspective as well. So great initiative. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Greg, one last question. In terms of the day before Father's Day, again, is that part of a Canada-wide initiative?
Yes.
In terms of marking that day?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Hopefully we can sort of do a take two closer to the IPM, of course, so that people not just focus on gardens, as spring is here, but as we go into the fall, because I know that'll be well appreciated. Okay, colleagues, if there's nothing else, See no other hands. I will call the question. All in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Barrow, for your commitment and dedication and passion for gardens. We look forward to continuing our partnership.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right. Take
Take
care.
care. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Next up, colleagues, are items on the consent agenda. You'll see here that the council minute meetings from Feb 15th, as well as the minutes from the January 10th Health, Wellness, and Fitness Advisory Committee are on the consent agenda. Is there any councillor wishing to remove an item from the consent agenda as proposed? Seeing none, I'll look for a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Barkley. Councillor Wilson, you can move and second that. Thank you. Any discussion on consent? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please. Good. That motion carries. Thank you very much. Now we'll go to reports. I understand, Mr. Dyke, are we deferring the health and safety policy statement?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Okay. So that will be moved to a forthcoming agenda. And so then we'll go to our 2022 interim tax levy. And do we have our acting director of finance? Yes, we do. All right. Welcome, Mr. Ogunrande. Over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I have quite a short presentation this evening for council. I'm here really to ask for council's authorization to begin sending notices for the 2022 interim taxes, and also for council to approve a due date for the payment of the interim taxes to the March 31st, 2022. Next slide, please. So to give a bit of background, the Municipal Act 2001, as amended, prescribes that all municipalities must levy an interim tax upon all taxable properties within the municipality. So as a result, staff require council to approve a bylaw authorizing the finance department to send notices and collect the interim tax levy for 2022. Staff also requires council to establish a due date of March 31st, 2022 for payment of the 2022 interim taxes. Next slide, please. So we need to do this because according to Section 317 of the Municipal Act, it allows for the interim taxes to be set at 50% of the previous year's annualized taxes, which means that if a property was occupied or newly built and occupied in 2021 within the year, they would have received a supplemental tax bill and not the full year's tax bill. But what the interim tax allows us to do is to extrapolate what that property tax for 2021 was into a full year's figure and apply 50% of that amount as the interim tax. And any other property that was already on the tax base will just get 50% of the full year tax of 2021. And also from a cash flow perspective, the interim taxes allow us to begin executing the projects and the activities that have been identified in the municipalities operating capital budgets, which will be brought forward to council tomorrow. Also, the county and the school board, as part of the property tax that we collect, have a identical due date of March 31st for their remittances. So collecting these interim taxes allow us to meet up with those deadlines as they were. So this concludes my presentation tonight, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are.
Colleagues, we've been down this road before. We're fairly familiar with the interim tax levy. Any questions or concerns for our acting director? I'm not seeing any. If that's the case, then we will move to the motion for the interim tax levy, and I'll look for a mover and a seconder for that motion, please. Mover, seconder. Councillor Barkley, Councillor Sullivan, thank you.
My hand is up to speak. Sorry. Not to-
Indeed. Okay, so now that the motion is on the table, sorry, Councillor Barclay, I don't know why I didn't see your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. Mr. Algarande, what was the previous billing date? When did we bill last year?
I believe we did it on the 4th of March. That's when the notices were sent, with the same due date of March 31st, 2021. I should also note that the Act allows us to, as long as we have 21 days between when we send out the notices and when we establish the due dates, we're fine.
And what kind of terms did we offer? Did we give residents 30 days to pay, or what were the terms?
We didn't establish the number of days that we were on the notices. The notices were sent out on March the 4th with a due date of March 31st, which would have been about 25 or 26 calendar days as a timeline to pay those bills.
And that's when we incur interest charges.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions, colleagues? I know some in our municipality take advantage of the monthly payment option through their mortgage as well. So that's, offers a more predictable schedule in terms of at least collecting the money for those property taxes. So I know that's a good option. If there are no other questions, the motion is on the table, and that is that Council approve and enact bylaw 1522 to authorize the notification and collection of 2022 interim taxes. I'll call the vote. Seeing nothing further, all in favor, please. Good, thank you. Okay. So with that, we'll move on. Nothing on planning and development this evening. Quite remarkable, really. And we'll turn it over to Director Dunlop. This is for the dedicated gas tax funds for our public transportation program. Go ahead, Director Dunlop.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Next slide. In 2004, the province of Ontario established a dedicated gas tax fund for public transportation. This fund is provided to support service operations and increase levels of service for public transit operations. Since 2020, the municipality has had a service agreement with Allegiance Transportation Services, or ATS, to offer accessible transportation services within North Grenville. The current agreement expires December 31st, 2020. Next slide. The municipality has been allocated $60,071 to assist with the operations of this service upon receipt of an authorizing bylaw and signed letter of agreement. For $45,053 will be immediately released, and the balance after all reporting is completed. In accordance with the agreement, the funds must be spent on the following public transit items, covering capital expenditures that promote increased ridership, operating expenditures, vehicle replacement, improved passenger safety and security, or expenditures for major refurbishments on any fully accessible or vehicle to be made fully accessible and used for the transportation of persons with disabilities. Next slide. In order to receive these funds, Council is required to pass a bylaw and enter into an agreement with the province. As an addition, the province has authorized that Council may pass a bylaw to grant, province has advised that Council may pass a bylaw to grant delegated authority to sign the funding agreements for future years. As part of this report, we are recommending that Council authorize the Director of Public Works as that delegate. In addition, to direct staff to report back to Council annually relating to the dedicated gas tax funding for public transportation following the execution of this agreement. That completes my report.
Thank you, Councillor Dunlop. Do you recall if the number has changed? I know it's partly based on usage, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of the allocation of funds year over year, given that we started in 2020.
Some of the funds have changed in regards to the value. It is based on previous year's numbers, riderships, but due to COVID and the short term for the service that we have numbers, we hope to go nowhere but up.
Right. And my understanding is this year we received a little bit more than would have been the case last year. Is my memory serving me correct?
Yes, it is. We did receive some alternate funds for additional cleaning, etc. Increased safety due to COVID concerns.
That's right. Okay. And I know the province is certainly very keen to support accessible transit systems to the degree that they're sort of publicly managed. So appreciate that we have some significant dollars to offset this program. Because I know the municipality is also obviously investing in it. So it's nice to see that this provincial support continues, and we expect it to in the future. So colleagues, you've heard Ms. Dunlop's presentation. Any questions or concerns at this stage? None? You may also recall, just so for context, that we've reduced the fare attached. Colleagues, this is something we did just as we entered into that contract with ATS. We reduced the fare to $5 each way, and are really trying to emphasize that the service is available to any senior 65 years and older. So hopefully that will support the growth of the service in the coming years, which I know is something that we care a lot about in the absence of even a private taxi service in the municipality of North Grenville at the present time. Ms. Dunlop, quick question. I think it's a budget question for tomorrow night. So I know that we were looking at an expanded, we were looking at a feasibility study potentially for an expanded transit service. Do you recall if that's an item that's featured in the 2022 budget?
I don't recall specifically. I believe it is an item that is identified as more of a strategic style document.
Yes.
But if I may, Madam Mayor, the other item that was expressed by council when we did reduce the fees to $5 each way or a $70 monthly,
yes,
as well as making a marketing drive in order to increase the ridership of the program, and we have seen the numbers go up.
Great. That's wonderful news. And I know the municipality is doing a fantastic job of sharing it on social media and running some print ads, and encourage council colleagues to do the same because the more people who use the service, the more that we can grow the service. So great to see this come forward. Council, I'll look for a mover and a seconder, please. Councilor Barclay, Councilor Sullivan, thank you. And as Ms. Dunlop noted, they're looking for authorization to, in the future as well, execute on any funding documents. So you'll see in the report that council is moving at this time that we approve and enact bylaw 1622 to authorize the Director of Public Works or a delegate to execute an agreement with Her Majesty the Queen. Authorize the Director of Public Works to execute all documents of an administrative nature required to comply with the terms of the program, and direct staff to report back to council annually with an update related to the dedicated tax funds for public transportation program, including the municipality's funding allocation following the execution of the agreement. We have a mover and a seconder. Are there any further questions or concerns? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Good. Thank you, colleagues, and let's keep up that social media and word of mouth promotion of what is an invaluable service in our community. We'll move on now that we've gotten through that item. Thank you very much, Director Dunlop. We're now going to welcome Mr. Guy. Mr. Guy has come back to give us an update on participation and the wonderful $100,000 that the community secured just some months ago now. So go ahead, Mr. Guy.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you very much, Your Worship. So yes, I originally brought the participation funding report to council on February the 9th. And at that meeting was asked by council to reach back out to the individual communities to ensure they were in agreement with the staff recommendations and to come back to council tonight with an update. So as most know, the municipality of North Grenville was voted Canada's most active community and therefore was awarded $100,000 in being named Canada's most active community. Next slide, please. So we were awarded $100,000, as I mentioned, and the funding guidelines were to support physical activity opportunities in the community. Staff committee discussed lists of options to spend the dollars. A community survey was initiated to see where the municipality should spend the money. Next slide, please. The staff recommendation was to divide the participation funding between North Grenville's 4 rural hamlets to support new recreation infrastructure in Bishops Mills, Oxford Mills, Oxford Station, and Burt's Rapids. Staff, as I mentioned, went out between February 9th and tonight and received confirmation from each hamlet that they were in agreement with the project specified for their community. Next slide, please. So number 1, the Bishops Mills was to construct a new outdoor rink building. Staff had a conversation with 3 members of the Bishops Mills Community Association. Oxford Mills was to replace the current play structure at Crozier Park with the new play structure. Received confirmation from Mr. Neil White from the Oxford Mills Community Association that they felt that was the best place to spend the money. Next slide, please. Oxford Station Park replaced the existing play structure with a new accessible play structure. I spoke to a Miss Janine Beeking, as I believe Mayor Peckford, you did as well, and they would like to see the current play structure there replaced. Next slide, please. And the Burt's Rapids Park, provide funding to the Burt's Rapids Community Association to support upgrades to the basketball court behind the Burt's Rapids Community Center, and did receive confirmation from their community association that that's where they, if they were going to receive some proceeds from the participation funding, they would like to use it on this particular project. And I believe that is the end of the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guy, very much. In terms of the Oxford Station play structure, I don't know if Ms. Beeking communicated to you that they were hopeful to replace the play structure with something that, again, had the capacity to accommodate more than young kids, given obviously it's one of the few amenities in that area. So I don't know, I'm very confident, given what I saw in Glen Gables Park, that you and your colleague, Joe, can find a way to build something that does allow for more than sort of the toddler set, if you will, to enjoy some of that play equipment. And we know there's a lot of creativity and good stuff out there these days in terms of more modern equipment. I don't know if that was something Ms. Beeking brought to your attention when you spoke with her.
Thanks for the question, Your Worship. Yes, she did. And as we did with the Glen Gables play structure, we will, what staff normally do is we'll provide three separate options for the community to take a look at, to give us some feedback to ensure that we're providing the right recreation amenity that they feel would be best suited for their community. So we will continue with that in that same vein for all of 4 of these projects as well.
Okay.
Well, in particular, the 2 play structure projects.
Okay, thank you. And do you plan to have signage at these areas to signal to the community, right, that in fact the amenities are being brought to them in this instance with the support of participation, of course, which was a community-driven effort?
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be part of the project.
Excellent. Council colleagues, anything else on this? No. Okay. Just one final question, Mr. Guy. I can see that Burt's Rapids Community Association is comfortable with a transfer of funds. I know that the property isn't ours, where they proposed that half basketball court. They feel confident that they can sort of manage that project, if you will.
We plan to assist them in any way we can to ensure that they, they get what they want as far as the upgrades to the basketball court. So myself and our facility superintendent will work alongside them to assist them with the project. Okay, great. I imagine there may be some efficiencies achieved by working in partnership with the municipality. I see Councillor Strachan. Go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Director Guy, regarding the options that you present to the communities for the play structures, do they all have a mix of types of play structure that would appeal to a broader range of ages, and they're picking, which one they prefer the most, as opposed to 3 options, one that may be only suitable for a younger age, another one that has a different sort of mixture. Could you expand on that, please?
Well, based on the needs of the community and what they've asked for, or what their preference is, when we ask for quotations or we speak to the various companies, we will give them somewhat of a spec of what we're looking for and an age range that we'd like to see them provide to us, so we can take back to the community. So knowing that, for as an example, Oxford Station wants a variety, so that kids, not just maybe preschool or primary school age children can use that, something for older kids. We will make that point to the companies that we reach out to, and ensure that we get, something that, as I said, that they can be happy with and they can look at and give us some feedback on.
Okay, I guess I just want to make sure that in the consultation, and I'm sure you'll all do a very good job at this, but just to make sure that we're not looking at just today's needs, because it's very easy to look at, the age of kids that may be in a community today, but they all grow up, whether you want them to or not. So making sure that there are options there for slightly older kids is a great idea. So thank you very much for clarifying.
Point well taken. And it could be that we provide, more than one structure, that there might be another piece of equipment that relates better to a certain target group of youth or kids.
Absolutely. I know bigger kids will love to play on the smaller structures too. It's just that the smaller kids don't necessarily appreciate it the same way. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Seeing nothing else, I will look for a mover and a seconder for this, please. I see Councillor Strahan. Councillor Sullivan, thank you. And colleagues, the recommendation is before you in terms of the 4 proposed projects. Of course, it goes without saying, and I know we've said it before, that there is a major investment coming in Riverside Park. It was another popular item featured in the survey, and that includes a splash pad and a refrigerated ice pad. So we'll be excited to see those things move forward this year. And I know Mr. Guy is now working closely with a volunteer team who would like to see a rehabilitated BMX track. So I know there's lots of other things happening when it comes to recreation and supporting the spirit and intent of participation. So we appreciate that through the participation dollars, we'll be able to expedite some investments in rural hamlets at the same time as we make a major investment in our central park, if you will, in the heart of Old Town Kemptville. We've got a mover and a seconder. You see the motion before you. I'll call the question, colleagues. All in favor? Good. Thank you. That motion carries. With that, colleagues, I believe we're at other business and notice of motions. Any notice of motions this evening? Not seeing any. We've, I believe, considered all the bylaws required for this meeting. Is that correct, Ms. Babcock-Cormier?
That's correct, Your Worship.
All right. And I'll go to any questions from members of our community or the media.
I confirm that I've received no questions from the public or the media, and that we don't have any members of the public or media in attendance this evening.
All right. I see Councillor Strahan.
I never know when to raise my hand for any other comments that I'd like to make that are somewhat off the agenda. So sorry if I jumped in at the wrong spot. I just wanted to give a shout out to the Kemptville Winter Trails group and other folks involved in our community who put on, in coordination with a former resident of Kemptville, Karen Messenger, who is a pro athlete by her own rights and biathlon and so on. They put on a series of wonderful workshops this weekend for cross-country skiing, from learn to ski to slightly more advanced workshops, and ones for kids and grown-ups alike. And I think that they encouraged a lot of people to get out there a little bit more, myself included. And I know that several people have reached out to me wanting to know more about it, wishing that they had heard about this ahead of time. So I think that there's a lot of potential for next year to be able to run some more clinics and workshops and the like, and perhaps encourage more people to hit the trail. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of those who are involved in organizing that.
Yes, I said it publicly, but I finally learned how to cross-country ski properly after 40 years of doing it somewhat incorrectly. So hopefully
Same
the next
here.
40 years will be a little smoother. And we can confirm that Ms. Messenger is a wonderful teacher, very, very focused with a limited amount of time. And I understand, Councillor Wilson, that you know her and her family fairly well. Good. Yeah, it was nice to see her out, and we're very appreciative of her time. Anything else, colleagues? All right, then we'll move on to the close of the meeting. I would like to say, Councillor Wilson, we really thought we should go easy on you tonight and have a meeting that was less than an hour. Don't get used to it. It's not typical. Gear up for tomorrow night. I'm sure it'll be a longer discussion. This was just your introductory, whetting your appetite for what is to come. And with that, perhaps you would like to move the confirmation bylaw, Councillor Wilson. Good. Okay, seconder for the confirmation bylaw, please. Councillor Barkley. Okay, good, thank you. That is that council move that bylaw 1722 to confirm the proceedings of council at its regular meeting held on March 1st be adopted and passed. We have a mover and seconder. I'll call the question. All in favor, please. Good, thank you. Next, we'll move a motion to adjourn at 7:17 p.m. Looking for a mover to adjourn, please. Councillor Sullivan, Councillor Strakian, that's mover and a seconder to adjourn. We'll have to report to Deputy Mayor that I don't think he was a former Deputy Mayor, that he was part of Council's shortest meeting ever in the municipality of North Granville. So look what happens when he leaves the town.
See what
I'm
happens
sure
when a man shuts his mouth up? When it's women doing all the talking?
In advance of International Women's Day, Councillor Barkley. Why not? Why not?
If he's watching and the time, and he hasn't considered the time change, he may be too late, maybe over before he gets on.
Well, thank you, Councillor Wilson, for making this such a smooth meeting. We appreciate it. We have a motion to adjourn on the table. It's now 7:18 p.m. I'll call the question. All in favor? Excellent. Meeting is adjourned. We'll see you all again tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. So, yep, that is tomorrow night, Wednesday, March 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. So look forward to more dialogue. Thank you to senior staff for their assistance. Have a good evening, everyone. Take care.
Happy Pancake Day, everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Take care.